I think there was one point when I looked at my mom whenever she saw the whole house the whole downstairs pretty much underwater, and saw all of her things that she had worked so hard for. She had worked a single mother her whole entire, since my father passed away when I was 12. And I think seeing her face let me know that, you know, she really was. My mom had a real hard time after the storm, and so were several hundred, many others did. But I think that's the thing that scared me the most. She's always the one that's very brave, very, oh, it's going to be fine, you know, but whenever I saw something in her face that she was scared, that's when I got scared. That's when I knew that it was going to be very scary, and that nothing was going to be the same anymore. There was a girl that I went to high school with, and we found out that she didn't stay with her family, but we found out that her mother, her brother, her father, and I think an uncle both drowned in the storm. And that's someone that I grew up with through high school. And it was scary because there were so many rumors going on after the storm of this person didn't make it. You know, it took months for us to actually realize who passed away and who didn't, because there was a huge rumor that a guy that I went to high school with passed away, but he was in another state. So, but that was one family that really kind of went back to home. That, I mean, she lost everyone. You know, she's raising a baby by herself, and her whole family's gone. I've just realized that it made me grow up. It made me not be so dependent on my mother, because she was so dependent on some of us to help her through this time. And this storm has definitely changed my life in so many ways, and has made me view situations as an adult approach instead of a child. You know, with my first year of college, which made it so much harder that I had to rely on the school funds to help me, you know. And it just made me a better person, and made me realize you can't take things for granted, and that something can come in and wipe your whole world away in an hour, in 4 or 5 hours. So it's just basically made me realize how blessed I am to have some of the things that I have and not take anything for granted.
During the storm, I went to Arkansas, and then I flew to Houston with my family. My family, they went a completely opposite way that I went, because they were supposed to meet me in Arkansas, and then they just decided to go, I want to say it's east towards Florida, and so when we couldn't get in touch with each other at all until I actually got to Arkansas. I was leaving school, and we were supposed to meet up in Little Rock, and then once I left, I couldn't get in touch with them until they were completely opposite direction. So, and after that, couldn't really get in touch with anybody because the cell phone didn't have a home to go back to, which was what happened pretty much. I live in Diamondhead, and I have an apartment up here that I also lost because a tree fell on top of it. So, and the closest water was like 7 miles away, and it still flooded out completely. 7 miles from the water, and it was still up to the ceiling. And it moved, found the fridge in a bedroom, which was probably 3 rooms away. And then I had a tree go on top of my room, so it was insulation everywhere, and it wasn't really anything to save. Luckily, I had a lot of pictures that were in the attic, and I still had mold on them, but I still had them. So, as we were going through a move, they were moving back to New Orleans, and they had most of their stuff out, and I was staying there during the weekend so I could work with my friends and everything. Kind of an extra house at the time, but it still had all my stuff in there. New Orleans not as bad as everybody thinks. It's like Chalmette, New Orleans East is where it really got messed up. They got word that the house was damaged because our neighbor stayed, and they had to go into the attic, and they stayed up there. They said they were up there for about half the day, if not a little bit longer. Didn't have anything. I mean, you're just kind of in shock, not really. You don't really know what to think when you see everything just gone, and you gotta figure, I was living not with my family, so they had their house in New Orleans, which they had all their belongings were all right, but it was basically I lost everything. I lost all my furniture, anything that I had, just lost it because of the apartment over here and the stuff I had at Diamondhead. All my clothes, all my furniture, everything was just molded and just messed up. can't really save anything. Came back as soon as we came. The attitudes of everybody just like completely changed, because you normally going through a small town like this, everybody waving at each other, and then you come through and there's all these people from everywhere else, and you have the attitudes of them. The white apartments on Highway 11, they just had roof damage and the guy fixed them up. But I was staying in the top one, and we had 4 of my friends staying there at the time, and we had 4 of us staying in a 2-bedroom. So it's kind of, it's just, people are more stressed out. They don't help you as much. So I don't really think of, except I hope nobody else has to go through this again. That's it.
We were back about a week, and we were staying in Ocean Springs with a cousin of mine that our whole family had came over to help with picking up everything, cleaning, and we stayed there. And then I heard school was starting back up, so then I packed all my stuff the Sunday before school started, and I came back up here. First time we went to the beach was right after we got back. Actually, I think the day after we got back, we went down to the beach because my grandpa lives down there. He lived on the beach in Waveland, so we went down there to check all that out, and everything was gone. Slabs and everybody's crap just everywhere. It felt bad, to know that he lost his house like that, because ours was okay. It just needed to be gutted and redone, but his is gone. He's got to start over. And the insurance company screwed him over because he upgraded his insurance company a few months before that, but they didn't upgrade the flood insurance. They just did the homeowner's insurance instead of both. So he's only getting like 80 grand for his house, which is what he paid when he bought it like 12 years ago. So it's really worth like 160 now, so he got screwed over that one. Nobody died. Everybody was okay, but a lot of them moved. So, and a lot of them I still haven't seen yet. It's really not like going back home because you got everybody trying to clean up and everything's destroyed and people rebuilding everywhere. And it's crazy. It's still good to get away from school every once in a while, go visit home and see my mom and everything. So, well, when stuff like this happens, it really makes you like try not to take certain things for granted that you did before when you had it. So it makes you think a little bit more about what you're doing with your life and everything.